Welcome to the How to Start Bow Hunting video series, where we're breaking down everything you need to know to bow hunt for the first time. We're talking about buying your bow, scouting property, buying your hunting license, and even processing your deer. A lot of great content coming at you right after this. Hey, it's Brody here with Wahlow, and on this channel we bring you unbiased hunting product reviews, tips, tactics, and other information to help you find total success in the field. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and for more information about today's video, check the show notes below. In this first clip, we're jumping over to No Limits Archery out in Denver, Colorado with our good friends Phil and Bo. No Limits is a top-notch archery facility and pro shop and one of the largest in the state of Colorado. So if you're ever out in the Denver area, we highly recommend checking it out. So you're new to bow hunting and you've got all these questions running through your mind. Well, it's common. You're going to jump in that shop. You're not going to know what you want to ask. But in this first segment, Phil and Bo are breaking down all those questions for you to make you feel comfortable about that first time in the pro shop.
The questions come from all over the board with new customers because they really don't know the terminology yet. They don't know what they're looking for. So it's our job to start filtering through it. What kind of animal or animals are you looking to hunt? Is it going to be hunting or is it going to be target shooting? Is it going to be both? You know, some people just have the budget for one bow. So those questions that are going to help us align them with the selection, a few bows that they can demo shoot, really come down to that hunting target and then region that they're going to potentially be hunting.
And what type of hunting they're going to do. Obviously, if we talk them, through a bow and they ask, okay, I'm going to hunt deer. Well, how are you going to hunt deer? Are you hunting out of a tree stand or a ground blind? Are you hunting spot and stalk? And like Phil said, what region? If you're Eastern Coast guy, more than likely you're going to be sitting in that tree stand. So that may help us, kind of determine the size of the bow.
Yes.
So there's three key ideas you want to remember when you enter that archery shop for the first time. Number one is the type of animal you plan on hunting. That's going to dictate the type of bow you need. So is it a deer, bear, turkey, elk? What type of hunting are you doing? Number two, what region are you hunting? Are you in the east? Are you hunting the south? The west? There's a lot of different terrains all over the U.S., and that's also going to dictate the type of bow that you may want to use. Number three, what type of hunting situation are you in? Are you in a tree stand? Are you in a ground blind? Or are you spot and stalk hunting? So once the archery techs have a general idea of the style of bow that you want to shoot, they can begin breaking down more specific things like axle to axle length. So the axle to axle length is important because it's actually the overall length of the bow. On the bottom cam, there's an axle that holds the cam in place, and on the top cam, there's the same thing. So the distance between those two axles on the bottom and top cam is your overall axle to axle length, which is essentially the overall length of the bow. Check out the next scene as we learn a little bit more about what axle to axle length means.
So for whitetail guys hunting on the tree stands or ground blinds, obviously space can be a limited factor, okay? Whether it be in the tree stand with limbs, ground blind, obviously you got the roof to your blind. So the smaller axle bow is going to be a little bit more maneuverable, okay? Now generally when we talk about longer axle versus short axle, it all has to do with the stability. Now for a whitetail hunter, shooting shots from 40, 50, maybe 60 yards generally tops, shorter axle bow is plenty stable to make that kind of shot.
Right.
Now, like Phil said, for instance, that he likes a longer axle bow. Predominantly a Western big game hunter, his shots may be a little bit further than that, hopefully not. But if so, we've got the length of the bow to give us the stability to make it aim a little bit better. Okay?
Right.
Not that the short bow won't work in the Western states, but it does make it a little bit harder to shoot.
And there's other features too, like some of the new technology on some of the compound bows. Their limb pockets are becoming wider, the limbs are becoming wider. All those features are starting to lend themselves to a more stable feel. So that shorter bow you can get by with sometimes because it feels more stable just based off some of the other components on there.
So three key factors that come into play when you're talking axle to axle length are maneuverability, stability, and forgiveness. A bow that's easy to maneuver may not be as stable and forgiving for long distance shots. So think about the region you're in. If you're going to do Western hunting and spot and stalk, you may want a longer axle to axle bow because your shots may commonly be past 50 yards. So you want something a little bit more stable. If you're in the east and you're hunting tree stands and ground blinds after white-tailed deer, sometimes, and most of the time, the axle to axle length bows are a lot shorter. I shoot a 30-inch axle to axle. It's easy to maneuver to get in the tree stand. I mean, even in and out of your car, it's a smaller setup to carry around. So keep that in mind: maneuverability, stability, and forgiveness. So there isn't really one bow that fits one particular type of person. The best way to find that out is to get in the archery shop and shoot a lot of different bows. So in this next segment, Phil and Bo are going to break down what's most important when you're shooting and what they look for to figure out what bow fits the archer best.
A lot of the demo shooting answers some of those questions. So we'll again, we try not to look at somebody and place them into a bow, but we try to feel it out. So if someone's not sure, we'll start on a little lighter weight on the draw weight of the bow. As they're demo shooting, if they're demonstrating to maintain decent form, and we're also coaching them through some form in the process, getting a feel for how much bow weight they can handle. And then at that point, we have a pretty good feeling by the time they're done demo shooting a bow. Yeah, you can handle, you've demo shot your bows at 57 to 60 pounds. Comfortably, you want a 60 to 70 pound bow, that shouldn't be an issue for you. On the flip side, if somebody's barely pulling 45 pounds back, we're not gonna put them in a 60 to 70 pound bow, right?
Now when it comes to draw weight, myself personally, if they're comfortable pulling 65 pounds, when we finally get them into a bow and they're going to be sitting on the range shooting a lot of arrows, I almost personally prefer them to shoot 60 pounds. Okay, because they can be in a lower draw weight, not get quite as fatigued, and can really focus on the form and fundamentals and overall shot execution. Because I know that accuracy starts at the shooter, okay? And accuracy is 100% a byproduct of execution. So if I can keep them from worrying about how much weight they're pulling and just drawing a bow comfortably and paying attention to their anchor point and overall shot execution, accuracy will come with it.
So remember, there's nothing wrong with shooting a lower poundage bow to get that form down and practice. The most important thing is that arrow hits its mark every time. So start out by doing that. Start out by being consistent on the target. And then as you get stronger, you can start to crank the bow poundage up, and then you're going to get a little bit more velocity behind the arrow. And then once you do that, you're going to have more kinetic energy for your hunts, which in turn is going to allow you to get a little bit more penetration on the arrow and be a little bit more lethal with that bow. In this next section, we're going to jump into draw length. Each person has a different draw length, and it's imperative that you get out and try different bows to really dial in that draw length. I'm a 28-inch draw, but that doesn't mean from bow to bow I'm going to be able to shoot 28 inches without a few small tweaks. So try out a lot of different bows, make sure you're shooting different styles of bows, and then you can really dial in that draw length. But once you find the bow that you like, you're going to get set up and make small tweaks to make sure that when you're pulling that bow back and you hit the back wall on that bow, everything feels right and that draw length is set up properly for you.
I would say that draw length is something that there's a couple different methods. Wingspan's a basic one that gets you close. There's a couple other methods that we use to check you, and then as they're demo shooting, working their form and making sure their shoulders in the right position, their elbows in a good alignment, then we can really fine tune it. So by the time they're done picking a bow, we already know this is where it needs to start, and then we'll really fine tune it from there.
Yeah, for the most part, like Phil's saying, as we're shooting through the bows and trying to figure out what they like, what they dislike, even though they're new, we're always critiquing their form. Okay, we're always looking, is their shoulder high? Do they get good extension on their bow arm? How do they look? Even, if we're standing behind them, where's their rear elbows? Do they look like they're too opened up? Do they look like they're chicken winging it? It'll allow us to kind of fine tune it and go, okay, on that particular bow, because every bow draws differently. Mm-hmm. So just because, I'm a 28-inch draw length on one bow doesn't mean I will be on another. I can look at all those little features and go, okay, on this bow, you could use maybe a half an inch of draw length. On this bow, I think it's perfect. And release lengths can affect that, and D-loop length, stuff like that, string angle even. But through the whole entire process, as they draw and shoot the bow, like I said, we're critiquing the form.
You're going to hear me emphasizing getting out and shooting over and over again in this series, and you already have all throughout this video, but that's the most important thing. To understand what draw length you need, what poundage you need to be shooting, and what style of bow you're going to shoot best, the only way to figure that out is really just get out there and shoot. So just to reiterate one more time, guys, not all bow manufacturers are going to make a bow that pulls exactly the same at 28 inches, so it's imperative that you get out there, pick a couple bows, try them out, and you got to tweak that draw length a little bit to be most successful and most accurate. At this point, you may be a little overwhelmed, but remember, the guys at the pro shop are there to help you. No question is a dumb question, so ask as many of them as you can until you're comfortable. There's a lot of money on the line here. There's a lot of excitement when you first go into a pro shop and you're overwhelmed because you don't really understand archery yet. But those guys at the pro shop are there to help you. In the next segment, Phil and Bo talk about a specific class that they offer for new archers, and it's something to keep in mind as you go out to your local archery shop. There's other classes out there where they have beginner classes to go learn how to shoot a bow for the first time and teach you all about archery. So look around, get online, check out your local archery shops and see if there's any type of beginner classes out there that may help you become a better archer from the start.
And for a new shooter, it's almost like a fire hose, right? You come in and we're telling you about anchor points and shoulder position and, you know, brace heights. It's a lot to take in. And if you think about most customers, they'll spend between 45 minutes and 2 hours or so on a bow purchase. So, and that's still not enough. So what we started doing here about a year ago was we just created a in-house workshop to where it's free to anyone that wants to come in, and we spend an hour with you. We go over all the accessories on the bow, how they adjust, why they're there, and then we also get into a little bit of form and a shot routine to really hopefully get them started on the right foot, because there's so much of that plug and play where you just grab a bow off the wall, check your draw length, can you pull it, yeah, it fits you, there you go, send you on your way, right? So we've realized that we want to make sure that we're starting these, you know, hopefully longtime bow hunters out properly in that one simple class. It's just it slows things down a little bit. You know, the nerves or potential anxiety of a new bow, a new activity, money, we kind of take you out of that setting, you know, and it's pretty lax and it just goes over the basics. So I think that's really helped a lot of our local community out with just like I said, just point A to whatever step you need to get to or point you need to get to with the new equipment.
Well, you saw in that last clip that the guys from No Limits Archery do it right. They give a lot of emphasis to the new customers and answer any questions. There's archery shops all over the U.S. that are doing the same thing. So when you're ready, get out there. You have a good idea of the questions to ask now. Go into the shop and tell them you're a beginner. Tell them you want to buy a bow, but you want to try some different bows and you want to find your proper draw length, draw weight, everything that you need to know to be successful. My first buying experience, I had a $400 to $500 budget and I had no idea what I was doing. At the time, I had one friend that taught me a little bit about archery and I had shot a couple arrows with him. But going into the shop, I was a new archer. I really didn't know, but I asked a lot of questions and the guys really got me fixed up with a cool little bow to start out. It was probably not 3 or 4 months. I went back and I bought a new bow. I never even killed a deer with that first bow. I got so into archery, I was shooting all the time that I just wanted another one right away. So kind of a crazy little story there, but I went through 3 or 4 bows in a matter of 2 years. I got so obsessed with archery, and it may happen to you, so be prepared. But go into the shop, ask them questions. They're going to help you out, and it's a lot of fun, so just get ready to have a good time. If you don't know anybody that has shot archery before, then this video should have all the information in it to help you. And then keep following the series because there's a lot more great videos coming. We hope you found this video very informative, everyone, and we hope that when you go in that pro shop, you have all the information you need to buy that first bow. Thanks for following along, everyone. We had a lot of fun making this video for you. We've got more videos to come. We're going to get even more in depth with some categories of bow hunting, so stay tuned, comment below, give us your feedback. We've got Instagram, Facebook, follow us on all the pages, and just let us know what you think. We're trying to do this for you, the beginners out there. We're trying to bring more people into the sport, so Share these videos. Let's get it out there for everyone to see, and let's bring more people into the hunting world. Thanks for checking out the video, and wallow the outdoors.